steps into it. Pass is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
Oh! He broke his ankles. Now he's got an entourage. And he's got a touchdown. He is Houdini. Going deep into the end zone and caught by Chase. Oh my goodness, what a grab! 34-yard touchdown throw!
What's up, everyone? Welcome to our Week 4 recap of Dynasty Nation. I've got Kev here, who is in sad boy hours. What is going on, Kev?
I'm not doing so well, Jim, if I'm being honest with you. Brutal week. I picked up the win, but my team currently in shambles at the moment. So I don't know where to go from here, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, with that, we might as well just go right into it. Let's get to our news segment. Where do you want to start?
All right. Well, you know what? Before, just to save my heart right now, I'm going to start with Tua, just because, you know, it was the first thing that happened. I am pretty passionate about this just because, like, the NFLPA, or not even the NFLPA, the Dolphins should be ashamed of themselves. Basically, state the obvious. Thursday night or Sunday against the Bills, Tua had a concussion. It wasn't a back injury. It wasn't a leg injury. He had a concussion. Thursday night, Tua takes another blow. And, you know, that's 4 days from Sunday. A concussion needs at least 5 days to heal. And so he gets hit again, you know,
Scary.
and he goes immediately into what's known as decorticate posturing. So basically, that's like a neurological response to any kind of traumatic blow to the head. And this is extra scary just considering there's a thing called second impact syndrome. And essentially what that is like if your concussion doesn't heal properly and you take another concussive blow, I mean, you're looking at potentially your brainstem to like swell up with fluid and explode, literally killing you. So, Jim, I saw that, and I mean, you saw how long he was on the ground for. Like, I literally like thought the worst. When I didn't see it live, but when I saw that happen, my heart stopped. I was like, oh my god, like, and like again, we were talking about it. We knew he had a concussion. Like, we knew it. There was no way it was anything else. But to be honest with you, man, this incident, it regressed the NFL's concussion protocol by like 2 decades at least. This is just inexcusable. Should never have happened. He should never have been in that game. And man, thankfully, as of right now, as far as we know, it was just another concussion, and that's it. No other damages. He's definitely not going to play next week. It's just scary, man. Honestly, this could have been avoided. Tua, he's in good spirits right now. Hopefully, you know, he can stay that way. They restrained him after it happened, and he had all movement in his extremities, which is obviously very important. And, you know, I'm just really glad he's okay, man. That was one of the scariest injuries I've seen, honestly.
Yeah, I was watching it live, and you saw him kind of go stiff, and then they zoomed in on him, and his hands were just like you can't even do it. But
yeah.
And then also to note too, from that whole situation, that independent doctor was fired.
Yes.
Ended up clearing him in the Sunday before during that game.
Step in the right direction, man. Honestly, it made no sense the fact that he came in at all. My guess is they were playing the Buffalo Bills, so big divisional game. I'll get back out there, and that I don't care who you're playing, man. At the end of the day, this is a game. All right, you're playing with a man's life like that. Okay, so you know, I never want to see that happen again. And again, man, like the NFL has been taking concussions very seriously, or so they've been seeming to do. But like I said, man, the real step backwards by at least 20 years, honestly, like inexcusable.
Yeah, for the independent doctor to clear him, who obviously is supposed to not have any affiliation with either team, to still be like, all right, he's good. Then obviously the Dolphins are going to be like, yeah, get out there.
Right.
It's inexcusable.
Yeah. So, yeah. But moving on, start of the sadness for me that affects me directly. Cordero Patterson, man. So Cordero, he had injured his knee week 3. It seemed like, you know, just a little like, you know, he's a little bit older. So you figure, you know, it's probably nothing serious. He just kind of was a little worn out. Give him some, you know, he didn't really practice much that week. Just kind of, you know, resting, whatever. But then I noticed, I didn't get to watch that whole game, but I noticed his usage was very down, which, was a little concerning to me. I was like, okay, well, what's going on? But it turns out he probably tore his meniscus, which is more than likely. And we're thinking about he probably partially tore it week 3, and then now it's like he needs surgery. So you're thinking about with the meniscus, you got a lot of twisting motions, like juking, pivoting, like change of direction, like that's all your meniscus right there. So it got to the point where it was tolerable and not that painful, to the point where he could not tolerate the pain anymore. And if I had to guess, Jim, what's likely going to happen is that they're going to go in there in surgery and kind of shave off the torn meniscus, which is a quick, short fix. Long term, my man Cordero will probably have some arthritis. I'm not even trying to joke around about it, but like more than likely, if less of a cartilage barrier, like the knees are just going to be kind of rubbing against each other, like down the line. I mean, for now, he's a professional athlete. He's sacrificing his body to play the game. So he'll be okay in the short term. If I had to guess, he'll probably be back in 6 weeks, which is after the minimum 4 weeks for the IR, just due to his age. And also just, the Falcons are in no position to want to rush him. He's a good weapon for them. So they want him to play and be effective for as many games as possible. So yeah, I'd say about 6 weeks for Cordero.
Yeah, in hindsight, you wish they wouldn't have played him this week and gotten the ball rolling earlier. But when at the same time, the player's probably coming to you saying, I'm good, I can play.
Yep. And that's basically exactly what happened. Like he said he was good to go, and he knew he was hurt. He knew he was hurt.
The usage, I think it was he played decently first half, and then he was like gone for the whole second half.
Yeah. Yep. It was a lot of Tyler Algier going off, which, hey, he they want to see their rookie play too, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's players want to play, but
so it'll be a lot of Tyler Algier. Caleb Huntley looked kind of good too in relief there as well, and I also have Damian Williams, who I'm not sure when he'll get off IR, but he went on, I believe, week 2, so he's almost eligible to come back too.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I'd probably say a lot more Mariota design runs, honestly. But yeah, it's just tough blow. Obviously, Cordero has been a good threat for them last year, and this year he was having a great season. So yeah, hopefully I'm wrong and it's less than 6 weeks, but that's my prediction. Sucks. But moving on, I'll get into another player, Treylon Burks. So with Treylon Burks, I actually saw the injury happen, and honestly, the first thing I thought he fractured his foot. In the end, it wasn't that serious, thank God. It was just turf toe, diagnosed with turf toe, will not need surgery. But and he hasn't been put on IR, so that's a good sign. I'm thinking, hopefully like 2-3 games, maybe less, honestly, because he's young. But he hyperextended his big toe, so basically, that's, obviously not very comfortable to say the least. No. It's pretty obvious, most common in football. And I mean, yeah, I hope for Jason's sake, who has Burks, he's back as soon as possible. But yeah, man, tough start to his career between the preseason talk and now, hasn't been doing much to start the year, and now he's injured. So yeah, hopefully it's only a short-term stint off the field.
I think the original report I saw was 2 to 3 weeks. So that fits right in that range you're talking about.
Yeah, hopefully. But moving on, I want to get into one of my true, I don't know about my favorite player, but certainly in my top 3, Jonathan Taylor. So yeah, man, this has been a whirlwind of emotions for me. I think in the worst in the very beginning. But so Jonathan Taylor, who hasn't been having a good year at all. It was considered he had a high ankle sprain in the very beginning. And I'm like, oh my God, I just got finished talking about a high ankle sprain with Mac Jones, and now we're gonna talk about Taylor. But in the end, he gets an MRI and came back clean. Thank God. It's nothing major. He kind of dodged a bullet, but he was seen in practice with a boot today, Jim. So if I had to guess, quick turnaround Thursday Night Football against the Broncos, that man should not play. He's never missed a game in his NFL career. Well, that streak ends Thursday. If I had to guess, given what I've read and what I've been just read with everything, it should just be the one game. He's a very sturdy back. He's never had an injury in football since dating back to high school. He's very, very reliable with his availability. So, we hope the best. It's, no setbacks, and I want him to miss. Please sit. Please sit. I mean, I just finished talking about Cordero. Like he was not healthy and played through it, and now he's on IR. So I do not want to see Taylor on IR. You're 23 years old, man. You got your whole career ahead of you. I really hope he sits, and Naheem Hines step right up. So yeah.
Yeah, even for a 1-game fantasy sake, if he were to play, how much is he going to play? How effective will he be?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
He's one of those players that you can't really just sit either.
As bad as he's been, I will never bench him if he's active. It's like, he's Jonathan Taylor. I know, like, yes, he's been not good this year, but the turnaround can be at any moment. He just needs one big run, and he'll get going.
He's actually started slow last year too.
He did. He had two. For him, he had a bad weeks 1 and 2. And then I remember everyone was chirping me like, "Oh, Kev, what's going on?" And this year he had a solid week 1. So I'm like, okay. And then he's been dog shit after that. So, but he gets the carries that, he's a workhorse back, but, yeah, man, it should only be the 1 game, fingers crossed on that. Now, someone who won't be 1 game,
the sad boy hours. Here they are.
So it's just sad. It's even sadder because I said that the 2 players I was most excited about to watch are both out the whole season. Who am I talking about? Javonte Williams. Oh man, dude, it's devastating. My man's Javonte suffered a torn ACL and LCL. I believe he also tore part of his PCL and posterior lateral corner. Devastating. Basically, in layman's terms, it was on par with J.K. Dobbins, where J.K. Dobbins, he had ACL, he had LCL. I believe it was a semitendinosis on his hamstring and meniscus, medial meniscus. I haven't heard anything about Williams in regards to the meniscus, but if I had to guess, he probably tore some there too, just given the nature of the injury. But to be honest with you, Jim, I watched the injury over and over. And I don't know if you remember what I was saying in the chat. I did not expect ACL.
No, you didn't. You were saying that the whole time.
He had a hyperextension, and I thought for sure meniscus, given that he took a blow. So LCL, obviously, on the outside part of your body. I was thinking, okay, so he's getting a lot of pressure on that side. So I'm thinking meniscus. So I'm like, okay, because he's kind of like while hyperextended, while planted, he got hit. ACL is typically, it's like more of like an anterior like translation, and he didn't really have that, but the tibia did move. So it's not crazy, but what is crazy is how significant it was. I did not see this coming. This was literally like worst case scenario. Javonte, another player who simply has not really had injury concerns. He hasn't been a running back that long. He played linebacker in high school, and I mean, his time as a running back was really just in college. So, and I mean, he had a split backfield then, so you're not really worried about wear and tear with him. But yeah, man, he'll be out for the whole year. It is absolutely devastating. And he injured it, week 4. So Dobbins just came back, and he got injured in the preseason. And if I remember correctly, Jim, that was the first preseason game, if I remember correctly on that.
I believe so, yeah.
So if that's the case, we're kind of going off that timeline. 9 months would be the absolute minimum. We're looking closer to 12. So really heartbreaking injury. My team is in rough shape without having him, who I regarded as a big stable asset, who, yes, was not doing what I wanted him to do to start off. But you know what's funny, Jim? Melvin Gordon has that fumble. They take it to the house, and they're just featuring Javonte, giving him the rock. They're committing. And it seemed like dumbass Hackett, finally was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give it to my best running back and let him just eat. And that's when the injury happens.
It's crazy.
It's awful. I've been doing a lot of reading on the J.K. Dobbins injury and what his rehab was like, and very painful. And even though it hasn't been reported, I would be shocked if there was no meniscal damage to Javonte. But man, yeah, all you can do is just wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully he could kind of pick up where he left off, or maybe pick up where he left off his rookie year. For me, fully healthy, and but who knows what his workload will look like next year, man. It's just awful.
I am curious to see what the Broncos running back room looks like moving forward. Melvin Gordon with the fumbling problems, and we saw too after Javonte left, they gave up the ball a lot to Boone.
It did.
He got a lot of opportunities, and they also then brought in Latavius Murray now too. Yep. So there's 3 guys. It's kind of up in the air. I wouldn't say I think it's Melvin Gordon to start, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him lose it quick.
I think he will because he just can't hold on to the ball. Right. So it's, and I mean, like I said, like he fumbled it, house call, and
4 fumbles on the season already.
And that's been his biggest issue. That's why part of the reason why I was stunned the Broncos brought him back, but still, it's really, really tough yesterday. Sunday and all of Monday was a really, really tough day. Just kind of coming to grips with the reality. Where I go from here, I really don't know. I'm not saying, I'm instant selling. I think that would be a little panic right now. But it's not out of the realm possibility. That is what I end up doing if I decide it's best for my team. But yeah, losing Javonte is, you can't put it into words, man. Brutal.
With that, though, let's move on to our week 4 recap. First, we go to Chrome Future beating Chubby Stafford 170.02 to 132.96. And Kev, we got this one right.
And we almost didn't.
We almost did.
Yeah, it looked like DeVito was having himself a fantastic week. And sure enough, man, Monday Night Football rolls around and Andrew does his thing. Debo, the Niners defense, great production. And yeah, man, just Josh Allen continues to be a beast. And Courtland Sutton, he's been consistent for him. It's, hey, he's on a mission this year between you two. It's very, it's fun to see. It's fun to see for Andrew for sure.
Justin Jefferson had quite a day in London, 31 points.
Yeah.
10 catches, 147 yards. He had the one touchdown run too, and then grittied across the end zone.
Yeah, I saw that. That was very, very appropriate.
Let's go into the Chubby Stafford side. Austin Eckler looked like he's back in form now. 34.9 points, 60 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 6 catches, 49 yards there, and 1 touchdown through the air as well.
He shut me up, Jim. He heard me talking shit. Like, I don't know what's going on with Eckler. And obviously I had Eckler in our other league. So it definitely was nice to see him get back on track. And hopefully just more of this for weeks to come, man. He's probably, between him and Christian McCaffrey, the best receiving backs in the game right now. So, definitely a fun game for Eckler. Yeah.
Alan Lazard puts up 17.6 points in kind of a weird game there between Green Bay and New England. 6 catches for 116 yards. But one of the players we were kind of worried about, looks like he's doing all right a little bit, at least this week.
Yeah, for the time being. I mean, I still do think, given how ugly the Packers offenses looked, I do believe that they are going to get somebody at some point. I don't know how or, who, but man, Aaron Rodgers looks like frustrated, man. Like, he's like, what, like, come on. And it's literally his facial expressions say 1,000 words. It's just like, what more can I do? What more can I do? I think the best one I saw, perfect dime, great route. Romeo Dobbs right in the corner of the end zone, caught it. Aaron Rodgers celebrating with his lineman. Yeah. Drops it. Oh my God. They need some wide receiver help, quick, fast, and in a hurry if the Packers really want to compete. But, with the Lions defense looking like how they're doing, and that, you might not need it, but for a playoff run, I think they could use some wide receiver help for Aaron Rodgers.
Then for Chubby Stafford, still Matt Stafford, another dud of a game, only 6.76 fantasy points this week. Is it time to panic, Matt Stafford?
I think it's time to panic. Just he hasn't looked good. 4 weeks in now. We talked about the elbow at the beginning of the year, then everything was like, all right, he's good to go, but it just something's not there for him. So I don't know. I think as far as the Rams are concerned, they're definitely shook right now. Tough divisional loss to the Niners. So yeah, man, he's got to get back on track, because if he doesn't, they can kiss their hopes of repeating goodbye, because all the other players are doing their job, they're showing up, but when your quarterback's not doing it, you're not going to win too many games, man. So
yeah, it looks like he has almost like no trust or chemistry at all with Allen Robinson. It's always just where's Cooper Kupp and Higbee. It seems like,
and so Tyler Higbee. He is that number 2 guy, 100%, man.
Which is crazy.
I was so wrong on him. I have 100%. I eat shit on him. It's fine. Tyler Higbee's that guy this year. So,
all right, let's move on to our next game. Run CMC beating Bateman and Robin 174.78 to 102.76. And I get the high for the week this week.
Yeah, man.
But I got to say, I thought this was going to be a lot closer than it turned out to be.
I think both of us gave Jason too much credit. I'm sorry. I think, he's making some good moves, right? I still do like the Treylon Burks trade for Pierce, because me and Jason talked about this. Damian Pierce, he's looking good. At the end of the day, running backs are very replaceable, and I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that one of the running backs coming out next year comes to Houston, and Damian Pierce is not given the same role. That's besides the point. I gotta say, man, I think Jason as a whole, it's tough, man. If his guys that he's really high on don't show up, it's not a good week. Lamar Jackson has a bad game against the Bills, and he loses big time, man. And Garrett Wilson, 2 receptions for 41 yards. We need more than that from Garrett Wilson. And I mean, not that it would have helped if they did their usual, because obviously you led the league in scoring this week. But yeah, man, it's tough to gauge Jason's team on a week-to-week basis. He's a bit of a wild card right now.
Yeah. So I have 5 players go over 20 points this week. 2 of them being Cooper Kupp, putting up 26.2 points with a career high 14 catches this week on 122 yards.
Crazy, man. I didn't realize that was a career high. Wow. Damn.
Targeted 19 times. It's nuts. It's crazy.
Absurd.
And then Christian McCaffrey dialing the clock back here, 25.8 points, 27 yards on the ground, but 9 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown. It's like Baker realized he could throw the ball to him.
I was thinking that too, because he really hadn't been getting many targets before this.
No.
So, I think, this is the Christian McCaffrey I expected from the get-go. I do believe that this is just going to be what we get from him moving forward. Just
certainly hope so.
I'm sure you do. He's certainly that guy. Yeah, man. And I mean, I know you're definitely we're just about to touch on it, but I mean, Travis Kelce, another day at the office for him, man. 9 receptions, 92 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, what more can you ask for, man? When Kupp,
another day,
McCaffrey, Kelce, the trifecta there between those 3, and obviously Burrow, Higgins, all these other pieces you have, it's like the favorite. Who's gonna stop this man?
Go to the good though for Bateman and Robin. CeeDee Lamb, 21.7 points, 6 catches, 97 yards and a touchdown. Looked pretty good. It gets another week this week with Cooper Rush.
Quarterback controversy? Or, I don't know, man. Cooper Rush. Yeah. We'll see.
And Breece Hall, 15.8 points, continues to take on more of that workload that you've been talking about, Kev.
I'm just saying, he's that guy. He was my favorite prospect coming out this year. And I mean, just after a while, like I said, I fully, and remember we were jawing back and forth earlier in the preseason, like, oh, see, Michael Carter, he's gonna be, and I agreed, especially to start off, but eventually. The talent is what wins, and at the end of the day, there's not a question. Breece Hall, like he is very gifted as a running back, and very fun to watch. So fuck the Jets, but I like Breece Hall. Hey. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been nice. You've been nice to the Giants, so let me take that back. Sorry.
So that puts us at 2-0 on the week. But let's get to our first losing pick combined here. Connor Grogan beats Fossil Fuel 137.82 to 101.06.
Yeah, man. We're Grogan's making some statements here. Granted, Justin had an awful week, but regardless, I mean, big game for Jared Goff. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, man, continues to just pile up the points. That trade with Bob is just looking worse and worse for Bobby. And Rob is on a little run here. Just wins 2 in a row. Will he make it 3? I guess we'll get into that a little later. But Dameon Pierce, we're just talking about him. He's continuing to flourish in his role with the Texans. And I mean, he's also getting some receptions. Like, he's doing a little bit of everything. So yeah, Rob is definitely on the up and up right now. So we had him ranked as the 12th out of 12 teams. I don't think he's finishing 12th this year, Jim.
I don't know. We will see as we go forward here. But let's get through some of those numbers. Jared Goff puts up 33.22 points in an absolute shootout.
Yeah.
378 yards passing and 4 touchdowns.
Crazy.
Just wild game.
Crazy. No Amon-Ra St. Brown, no Swift, no Chark. Don't matter, man. Don't matter.
Final score of that one was what, 48-45 or 45,
something like
41?
That. It was 48-45.
Crazy.
Scoregami.
Dameon Pierce, 25.9 points, 131 yards on the ground with a touchdown, added 6 catches, but only 8 yards to the XML.
We'll take those 6 points, man, for those catches. I'll take that every day of the week.
And like you point out, CEH, 22.4 points, 92 yards rushing at a touchdown, 1 catch on the crazy Patrick Mahomes.
I was just going to say, man, like, shout out Patrick Mahomes on Justin's bench, but crazy, like 360 spin and like almost like a quick little flick,
like basketball shot almost.
Yeah, like dude, it was crazy. So yeah, CEH obviously being on the receiving end, that was all Mahomes, but still CEH was there to reel it in. He's having a great fantasy year, man, against a tough run defense. But hey, man, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 92 rushing yards. That's impressive against that defense.
Let's go to the fossil fuel side. Mike Evans returns, gets 30.3 points on 8 catches for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Brady was very happy to have his guy back, but unfortunately in a losing effort. But fantasy wise, Evans, that's what you love to see, man. 8 catches, over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns for one of the best red zone threats in the game. Yeah, man, great game for Mike Evans for sure.
We got to continue to beat up on Justin here for this running back depth. Surprised nothing's been changed yet.
Yeah.
Kamara is a late scratch on Sunday morning, and the RB depth just continues to kill him.
Yeah. Yeah. When you got Jerick McKinnon as your RB2, we have some problems here. So, Aaron Jones had a decent game, but yeah, man, he had no one else to turn to. Kamara out. Looking at his bench, Joshua Kelly, another backup, putting up 1.5 points, 15 rushing yards. Donta Foreman, 1 carry for 2 yards. Samaje Perine, 1 carry for no yards. Like, it's disgusting, man. And if Justin is serious about competing, he's got a funny way to show it, man. That's all I can say. That's all I can say, man. Big loss.
Zach Ertz with 16.7 points, though, on 6 catches for 47 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty solid day for the tight end.
I would say, obviously, given how ugly the tight end landscape has been thus far, and still no Hopkins, but Ertz is very much involved with the Cardinals scheme. So yeah, solid game.
All right, next let's go to Taylor Swift's McLaurin F1 beating Evil Empire 132.2 to 118.08, and now both right on this pick, Kev.
Yeah. The bright side was obviously me getting the win, but just we crippling amounts of injuries this week. But we already went into detail about all those. So, but yeah, man, Jonathan Taylor, once again, just an absolute inefficient performance. The workload is there, but it's just not good enough, man. It's not even not good enough. It's bad.
Yeah, it's crazy. 20 carries, only 3.3 points off of those 20 carries.
God, the fumble loss is really what screwed him over. But even without the fumble, it's still just a bad game all around. And the Colts just make no sense. They beat the Chiefs, but they can't do anything against anyone else. It's infuriating, man. But So yeah, obviously with Taylor not doing anything, Javonte leaving the game with his season-ending injury. Yeah, man, just tough outings. But my saving grace, what one excitement here. I mean, Tyreek Hill, yeah, he had a good game with 10 receptions for 160 yards on Thursday night. But my man's TJ Hawkinson. I know the Hawk. And now, Jim, I understand. Oh, well, the Seahawks are bad against the tight end and no other weapons. So it's not very impressive. It's bullshit. Because you know what? You know what? Yes, you may be right that he had a lot of things going in his favor. My man set a Lions record for a tight end for receiving yards, and I think it was just receiving yards. It might have also been receptions. I have to double check that. I believe definitely receiving yards record for the Lions. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So you can call it what you want, man. But at the end of the day, he's a very good player, and to put up 40 points basically.
Tell him what he is, Kev. What do you really think he is?
He's an unquestioned bona fide baller, certified baller. I think was the right phrase I used. Certified baller. Yeah.
No way. Gotta be more consistent.
Yeah, my man's Hawk, man. He's that guy. So we'll see. He's 20. I think he just turned 25 recently. Yep, just turned 25. I think a couple months ago. See, this is what you like to see, man. He's been having solid production his whole career, which is rare for tight ends. So you like to see that. And I mean, hey, man, the best is yet to come. And this is just a nice little sneak peek. So nice. Let's go Hawk. I like to see it. There you go.
I will say, I was looking back trying to compare like Kelsey's best game to this. Kelsey's never put up 39.9 fantasy points.
I'm just saying.
Kelsey every week at least is getting me 20.
It's fair. I mean, yeah. Again, you need that consistency.
Hawk, you live and die with the 40 or the 7.
But just to see it, it's like, oh, like yes, like I mean, granted, the game script on that was crazy. Obviously,
oh yeah,
by far the most total yardage of any game we've had thus far, and might be for a while. Honestly, the way that game was going. So obviously that plays a big part of it. I already talked about the availability of the other players that were not there. And yeah, he just took over. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, for a tight end to put up these kind of numbers, it gets you excited, man. It gets you excited. And so it makes me think, Amon-Ra St. Brown comes back, DeAndre Swift comes back, Jared Goff's in his mind like, yo, like I know this man's a certified baller. So let me make sure I get him the ball more. So, hey man, only up from here for Hawkinson. So
we'll see. It reminds me of the all off season, the storyline that was going on with ARSB that he only did it at the end of last year because nobody was there. And I don't know though.
We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Over to the evil Empire side, though. Derrick Henry had a big day, 23.7 points, 114 yards on the ground with a touchdown, and added 3 catches for 33 yards. Currently on the trade block now in our league, too.
Yeah, I mean, given TJ's situation, I mean, it's not crazy. He's the only team yet to win a game. So, yeah, man. I mean, I'm sure someone will be willing to pay the price, but I already asked him what he's looking for. I just don't think a trade will happen with me, given he's going to obviously overvalue him. Maybe he'll come to earth later on in the year, but we'll see. We'll definitely see if a trade does happen with Derrick Henry. I think I could be wrong, Jim. I don't know if TJ's ever made a trade in this league.
I could be so.
I could be wrong, but I think it might be the first time anyone's ever been on the block on his team as well.
True.
So
you're right.
So we'll see. We'll definitely see if he gets moved or not. But yeah, definitely something to keep in mind.
Also had a solid game out of Kyler Murray, putting up 22.88 fantasy points, 207 yards passing for 2 touchdowns. Also added 26 rushing yards and a touchdown on the ground as well.
There you go, man. The rushing upside is huge. And not to make that quick, but it's really, I wanted to mention just Chase Edmonds, another inefficient day, bailed out by the touchdown.
Bailed out yet again.
5 carries for 6 yards. And then he had 2 receptions for 14 yards, but had the touchdown. So what are you gonna do? I mean, in the end, still I was happy to get the win, but when I saw that, I was like, unbelievable. This guy's not doing anything. Of course he scores. Oh,
True goal line back. Not what you thought he'd be coming to Miami for.
no, not at all. Not at all, man. Oh,
Next, let's go to our first of the two matchups that we picked different here.
mhm.
Shicky Parmesan beats Rags to Riches 153.28 to 73.3. Oh man, Kev, do you want to defend your pick of Rags to Riches?
No. So I mean, right away, I said it right away. Tua goes down, very horrific injury. And I mean,
He
I
was
knew
left for dead. Not to
it was over.
his team.
It was over. Yeah, it was over right away. And I said it in the chat. And Rich is like, "But Kev, I still have my whole team to play." And it's like, well, at the end of the day, Rich, it's a very uphill battle. And even when I picked him, I did it out of I was just having the good vibes. We make a good announcement. You know what I mean? But I did not pick with my heart. Truth be told, I'm not making that mistake again. I should have picked Carmine. He had a lot of things going in his favor that week. And like you mentioned, you expected the bounce back for a lot of his studs. And
Been waiting for it.
Yeah. And sure enough, you have a solid all-around performance from Russell Wilson finally in fantasy. I mean, you have great contributions from AJ Brown, Marquise Brown, and Brandon Cooks. So, I mean, and Richie just, guys like, like I mentioned, Tua, Tony Pollard. What did he do? 8 carries for 6 yards, 1 reception for 2 yards. What are we talking about here? Like, you know what I mean? This is in your starting lineup. Greg Dortch, come back to earth, young man. I mean, 1 reception for 6 yards. Devonta Smith, we were raving about him, Jim. Another one of these dud games. The consistency is not quite there. It is AJ Brown's show. Jalen Hurts is going to make sure he gets the bulk of the targets. He'll have his splash games, as we've already seen, but tough to rely on him on a week-to-week basis to put up anything more than, hate to say it, anything more than 12 points you're happy about. You should be very happy about at this rate.
Looking at Carmine's side, definitely want to highlight Josh Jacobs, though. 34.5 points, 144 yards rushing for 2 touchdowns, added 5 catches for 31 yards as well. Just had a tough touchdown run, too, against Denver there, too.
Yeah, he's certainly making a statement like, all right, bet you want to get rid of me? Watch this. So I like Josh Jacobs. I just think he's like, I always kind of thought he was just all right. But this was a big game for him, man. That I'd have to look at his other numbers, but man, 28 carries, workhorse. I mean, he didn't give anyone else a chance, and I mean, they really relied on him big time, man. And he paid off nicely. Big win against the Broncos.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Russell Wilson finally getting back here. 27.48 points, put up 237 yards in the air for 2 touchdowns. Adds a rushing touchdown and 29 yards on the ground as well.
Yeah, it's about time, man. That's really all it was. I mean, the Broncos still look a little and obviously in a losing effort, but Russell Wilson, we expect similar numbers to this on a week-to-week basis. Honestly,
yes.
We regard him as an elite quarterback, and we just haven't seen it the start of the season. But fantasy-wise, a very good step in the right direction for Russell Wilson and for Carmine here.
Over to Rags to Rich's side. He goes from first in points last week to last in points this week. Damian Harris, though, 15.4 points, 86 yards on the ground, and a touchdown was pretty much his only highlight on his team.
Yeah, honestly. And I mean, again, like when we talked about it, but like when he led the league in scoring last week, it was just the oddest week of fantasy in some time. And I mean, he still doesn't have guys that you can be like, oh yeah, for sure. He'll put up big numbers like again. And I mean, yeah, Damian Harris has been consistent, but still very, very low ceiling player. Nice floor, but it's not exciting. Nothing wows you about him at all. And I mean, yeah, Brandon Ayuk, man. I mean, Debo had himself a day. Ayuk, yeah, just not very good. 4 receptions for 37 yards. It's just not good enough.
The only thing we might be able to highlight, Geno Smith on his bench in this shootout with
Yeah.
Detroit, 31.7 fantasy points, man.
Yeah. Thankfully, it would not have mattered, but still, yeah. He must have at least appreciated seeing what I considered a throw-in piece in that trade with Bob.
Yep.
He might be having a good season right now. He's top 10 right now, Geno is. We'll see, man. Still have a whole season to play, but
as a Jets fan, I can't believe it.
Hey, I mean,
crazier things have happened, I guess.
Maybe I don't think this will happen, but maybe he'll make the Seahawks think twice about taking a quarterback. If depending on where they finish. Maybe Geno plays well enough, they're not a top 3 pick. Maybe. We'll see.
Next, let's get to our week 4 matchup of the week, which was I'm All In versus the Sadder Man. I'm All In takes this one 147.3 to 115.44. This is probably our biggest point differential in the week matchup of the week that we've picked so far.
Yeah, I took a beating this week, Jim, and it could have been worse for me. But once again, I wouldn't say I picked this one with my heart. It was more of like,
I feel like it was with angst.
Yeah, that's the word. It was Bob does all this talking, so at some point I got to see it, and it's just not happening for him this year. He's now 1-3. Joe Mixon, though, finally, we're getting the kind of games I expect from him. 24 carries, 61 yards, a touchdown. You expect more yardage from him, but also getting involved a bit in the passing game. 4 receptions for 13 yards, finishing with 17.4 points. Solid game. But I was mentioning earlier, Aaron Rodgers just has not been what we expect from Aaron Rodgers, given his woes offensively with his receivers. It's just it's frustrating right now for the Packers. And Thielen, solid game, 8 receptions, 72 yards. Goddard, doing his thing. But quick highlight, I mentioned it in the chat. Josh Reynolds, with all of the injuries that the Lions have had. Obviously, Hawkinson was that guy. And I was like, oh, Bob, well, maybe this will contend with Mac Hollins as a potential pickup of the year or clutchest pick of the year. Not quite, but still 7 receptions,
solid day,
81 yards and a touchdown, man. So, I mean, he had guys that were decent, but just nowhere close to what Alexi did, man.
Yeah, Alexi had Tom Brady, 25.4 points, put up 385 yards and 3 touchdowns. Looks like Brady's coming around to this season finally.
Yeah, finally. Maybe with the recent divorce rumblings happening, maybe too soon, maybe. But maybe he'll be unstoppable the rest of the way. So we'll see.
Crazy.
We'll see.
But also had Jamal Williams fill it in for DeAndre Swift, 23.9 points, 108 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns, added a receiving touchdown as well.
Yeah, he was balling out, man. And he looks good. He looks good. Yeah, he looks better in a Lions uniform than in a Packers. Maybe that's a hot take, but he had that really long run early 15. In the game. Lions were down big at the time too, so that kind of got him going, honestly. So, yeah, man. Alexi's guys, and I highlighted all these guys when I was talking about the matchup, and I still refuse to pick Alexi. But Bob, he can say what he wants. He's kicking himself for making those trades, man. 5 picks to 3. He wants to say, oh, but I saw 3. It's great. I'm fine with that. No, 5 would have been quite nice. So
he'll also be kicking himself about his J.K. Dobbins on his bench with 22.3 points, 41 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Also added 4 catches, 22 yards and a receiving touchdown.
Yep.
He came out of the gate hot, J.K. Dobbins. I thought he was having an even bigger day than that.
Yeah, I did too. And it's just funny, Dobbins being a guy that Bob's hyped up so much as he comes back and on the bench. So, hey, it's an interesting year for Bob so far, but I think he is what I thought he would be this year for sure after 4 games, except the only difference now is he has 2 less first-round picks next year, which makes me smile. So good.
All right, so that does it for week 4. Take a look here. I go 5-1 on the week. Kev, you go 3-3 on our pick'ems. brings our season totals, brings you to 16-8 and brings me to 18-6 going into week 5.
I'll catch up, Jim, and I'll surpass you very, very quickly because you know what? I'm not picking with my heart ever again, and I'm not going for the reverse jinx again. You know, I'm picking with my soul moving forward. I know the right answer, so I'm still the only one to go 6-0 on a week. So that's all I'm saying. We're gonna get back to those ways.
All right, I like it.
Starting this week.
All right, before we get into our picks, let's reset the standings here. Run CMC's at 4-0 in first place. Chrome Future, Taylor Swift McLaurin, Chubby Stafford, and I'm all in, all at 3-1 from second to fifth place there. In sixth at 2-2 is Fossil Fuel. Seventh, also 2-2, is Gunnar Grogan. Eighth, the Saturn Man. Ninth, Bateman and Robin. 10, Chicky Parmesan. And 11, Rags to Riches are all 1-3. And coming up the rear here, Evil Empire 0-4 to start the year.
I think that's 2 years in a row. TJ starts 0-4. If I could be wrong on that. We'll check the records, but I believe last year started out real poor as well. So
yeah, it wasn't a great start. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Granted, it wasn't a great finish either. So
no, but yeah. So yeah, we'll see. We obviously were much more enthusiastic about his team this year. But maybe just might be more of the same, unfortunately.
All right. So with that, let's move on to week number 5 here. Let's start off with Run CMC versus Taylor Swift's McLaurin in the co-host matchup here.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. Where do I begin, Jim? Where you want to start us off here? Or
oh, sure, I'll start us off.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and take myself, especially you got a shit ton of injuries. Jonathan Taylor may be out. If not, probably even worse if he plays. Obviously, no Patterson, no Javonte. I do think you still have some good pieces overall, but I just feel like I got too many good pieces. I'd be shocked in a sense to lose, but
yeah,
it's fantasy. Crazier things have happened.
It's true. So you're taking yourself.
I'm taking myself. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking you too, Jim. Simply, just been derailed. And I wasn't joking about this. Like, to be this fresh off injuries, I'm glad I'm playing you. Like, whether it was you or Andrew, like where it's like, okay, like I'm clearly already an underdog, fully healthy. Like, yes, I can maybe hang, but now it's like I have zero expectations. But I'm still gonna put my best foot forward. We always are looking to win. Very competitive team or mindset for the team. But obviously you said it. No Javonte, he's out for the year. Taylor is iffy. Still no Swift. So those are three guys right there that are.
That's the thing I was curious too. If Dan Campbell sticks to his word of holding him out for the 2 weeks, or if he
it's not official, but I think that he will. I think there's no reason for Swift to play at all if he's not 100%. Obviously, Dan Campbell knows how talented he is. Jamal Williams looks great. What are you doing?
They put up 40 points without Swift this week.
Right, exactly. So just keep doing what you're doing. Let Swift get healthy, and when he comes back, he is a very, very valuable threat for them offensively. So, so I don't expect Swift to be back. That being said, we're still we don't know about Renfro's status still. Will he miss a third straight game with his concussion? We're not sure. But I just want to highlight my man's Bobby Trees. It's finally his first touchdown of the year, and now playing against the Commanders. So I think Robert Woods has a shot to have a solid game. I like Robert Woods this week. I like the Jaguars defense against the Texans. So I'll highlight those two. But I'm definitely taking you this week, and I just hope I don't make it embarrassing. I hope we can keep it within 25.
All right.
That's my hope. I hope. But moving forward, I mean, we'll see. With Taylor's availability moving forward, and any updates on Swift. But yeah, right now it's I expect to lose. Yeah.
Yeah. To your point, I guess if you're facing 0-4 Evil Empire, then you're kind of like, I still want to win this game.
Yes.
Or expectations of trying to win this game, and
right.
So I get what you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
That thought.
I have no, it is what it is. I'm playing against a top 2 team, and who we both regard as the favorite, as the number 1 team going into the year. No shame. I'm just gonna do the best I can. That's all I could say. So,
All right, so let's move on to 3-1 Chrome Future versus 1-3 Chicken Parmesan.
yeah, man, Andrew, he's rolling, man. When guys are, maybe not doing what he would hope, just as per usual, someone else will step up. We both were saying before, Jimmy was looking like he was going to take it early on, and then Monday night rolls around, and hey, obviously Stafford didn't have a great game for DeVito, but Debo did his thing, and the Niners defense, great performance for them. So looking around, Saquon against Green Bay, that's another London game. London. And I think Saquon is just going to feast as per usual. Josh Allen just going to continue to do his thing with Stephon Diggs against Pittsburgh. Darren Waller, I gotta say, Darren Waller not having the year us and many others would have expected. I just want to say for the rest of the season, I put Hawkinson over Waller. Just throwing that out there. I just haven't seen it from Waller this year. When with no Renfro, I mean, Mac Hollins is out producing him, and then when still no Renfro, when Mac Hollins still isn't having that great game, they both have the same amount of targets, same amount of receptions. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? So that's, Hawkinson at least took advantage of less options. Granted, the more options were not there for the Lions, but still, man, I expect more from Waller. But regardless, other guys still showing up. Cortland Sutton. I just finished talking about Debo. Carmine coming off a big week, big win as well. So it should be an interesting matchup, but there's no way I'm betting against Andrew this week.
I'm not betting against him either. I think Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs combined for big days against the Steelers. Not that scary of a defense once TJ Watt went out.
Yep.
They look pretty vulnerable.
Yep.
And yeah, I agree. Barkley probably gonna have a good day in London.
Yeah.
But besides that, I will highlight on Carmine's side. I do think that we still see a decent day out of Christian Kirk against the Houston Texans.
I agree.
I think Jacksonville in general should bounce back a little bit. They're not playing the Eagles this week.
Yeah, exactly. And just really quick, I noticed Andrew benching Antonio Gibson for the first time this week for Ramondre Stevenson. Like that decision a lot. If that stays the same, the Lions are looking like the worst defense in football right now. And Ramondre Stevenson, the Patriots, obviously they love to run the ball. I could definitely see, hopefully he doesn't get vultured by Damian Harris. But I could definitely see him having himself a day, whether he gets into the end zone or not. He's also very involved in their passing game there. So, yeah, man, I definitely think Carmine is taking an L, and Andrew to go to 4-1.
Yeah, it's a point about Stevenson too. If they're on Brian Hoyer or Bailey Zappi too, they're definitely going to be looking to run the ball. Even though Zappi did look good throwing the ball this week.
He had moments. He had moments.
All right, so let's go to 2-2 Gunnar Grogan versus 1-3 Satterman.
Yeah. So this is an interesting matchup. I mean, hey, I'll be honest. I would not have guessed by week 5 Grogan would have a better record than Bob. I'll be honest. Even though I didn't anticipate Bob's team to be good either. Obviously, we both anticipated Grogan to be awful.
Yeah.
So definitely a fun matchup given the context with the trade that they made earlier in the year. I do expect James Robinson to bounce back in a big way against the Texans. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Monday night, divisional rival against the Raiders. Jared Goff coming off a big week, now playing New England at New England. I could see that being a little tougher for him. New England is always pretty good against quarterbacks for the most part. Obviously this year, not as good, but still. It's tough, man. This is a tough one. Tough call. I'm still interested to see Michael Thomas's status. He is not confirmed to be good to go. I haven't really seen any updates on his practice. Granted, it's only Tuesday, so I guess we'll see. That said, I think Thomas comes back. I'm gonna go with Bob.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm going to go
Okay.
with Gunnar Grogan this week.
All right.
I think in the end, it will come down to CH on Monday night. I think this will be close all the way up till the end.
Mhm.
But I do like to the points you made. James Robinson coming back versus Houston. You know, again, they're not playing the Eagles this week. Expect
Yeah.
them to fully bounce back to have a solid week.
Yeah.
I think Higbee, right? I was only projected 9.83 on Sleeper. He's had double digits every week but week one.
Yeah.
So I expect him to still be a huge, part of that Rams offense and be a big piece.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Pierce. And I just think overall it's going to come down to the wide receivers on both teams. And as much as I don't really like Rob's wide receivers, at least they're healthy.
Yeah.
So we got that. Devontae Parker, to your point that you made about New England and Detroit.
Yeah.
Detroit
Yeah.
defense not good. Give me Devontae Parker.
Yep.
Might have a chance. And the only thing is Lockett versus New Orleans is kind of iffy for me. But I'm gonna stick with Gunnar Grogan this week.
I will also just highlight Dobbins. You know, he's coming off a big game. The Bengals, yeah, they're kind of moving in the right direction, but it's still kind of iffy. I can see Dobbins continuing his touchdown streak to 2 games. I don't think he'll have more than one. If he does, I mean, great. Najee Harris against the Bills, that's obviously a brutal matchup. He just needs a touchdown, just to keep him afloat. But I also, last highlight for me on Bob's side, the Buccaneers defense against the Falcons right now. They just lost Cordero, a big weapon for them. Kyle Pitts, big disappointment this year, man. So it's really just Garrett Wilson. And Kyle Pitts hopefully can get it going at some point. But yeah, I think the Buccaneers can have a day against Mariota and the Falcons.
Yeah, I get that point too as well.
Yeah.
Next, let's go to 1-3 Bateman and Robin versus 0-4 Evil Empire.
It's another tough one, honestly, Jim.
It is.
And again, I just got finished saying how Bateman and Robin, bit of a wild card. And with TJ, with the Evil Empire here, it's like guys just haven't been showing up when you'd like. Jamar Chase has kind of been struggling as of late. Gabe Davis simply has not been playing well ever since week 1. He's just been a big step backward. This is a tough call. Jim. I think in the end, I don't want you to influence my pick. So I am going to take Jason.
Ooh.
I almost picked TJ, but I'm going to take Jason. I think Lamar Jackson, big bounce back. And I think Rashad Bateman is going to be on the receiving end for one of those touchdowns. I think Breece Hall is going to get in the end zone. Yeah, man. I'm going with Jason for sure.
Yeah, Breece Hall seems to be picking up more and more. Miami's not the greatest run defense either. Bateman's dealing day to day with the foot, but he played through it last week. Said his status is kind of in air right now, but even with that, I think I'm actually going to lean towards Evil Empire getting their first win.
Wow.
I do think Kyler Murray is probably going to have an awful day, though, against Philadelphia. Their defense is just unbelievably good.
Yeah.
But Derrick Henry against Washington, I think, is for a big day. Jamar Chase, I think, bounces back in part of your in that game against Baltimore. I know their defense hasn't been too great, so hopefully they'll get going. Juju's kind of been not really been seen here. Another Monday Night Football game.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets it going against the Raiders here.
Yeah.
I just hope that TJ gets Gesicki out of this tight end, man. The Dolphins just don't use him at all.
No.
Only in the big blowout comeback did he actually get targeted, and he was only targeted 4 times.
Right. And I just to go back about the Falcons, against the Tampa Bay, Drake London as being the focal point now with no Cordero. Pitts is still not doing great. Drake London against the Buccaneers, and then Younghoe Koo could have a good game if the offense struggles, but you got to get towards the goal line to even attempt field goals. So he's been very good this year, to be fair. He's been a very good fantasy kicker. I just don't think to rely on your kicker is going to be enough. So yeah, Jason, taking it.
All right. Next, let's go to 1-3 Rags to Riches versus 3-1 Chubby Stafford.
Yeah. So like we were saying before, man, we thought Jimmy was going to take it. And just, I voted with my heart last time. I'm voting with my head moving forward. I think DeVito is going to take this. He'll be back in the win column after having a hard fought loss to Andrew last week. Yeah, man, I just don't think Richie has enough to really keep him in these games. DJ Moore really disappointing this year. And as one of my favorite players in the league, it's upsetting to see. But yeah, man, I mean, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, Devontae Adams on Monday night. I just expect DeVito to make quick work of Rich this week.
Yeah, I think DeVito is also going to win this week. Like you said, there's just not enough pieces, I think, for Rags to Riches. He's relying with Geno Smith this week against the Saints, unless he picks up, I think Bridgewater was out there, or who else? I think Bailey Zappi.
Oh, yeah.
Not Zappi. Cooper Rush was out there.
Cooper Rush. Yeah, that's
Cooper
right.
Rush was the other one on the wire that he could pick up. But
Yeah.
either way, I still don't feel great by the rest of his pieces. So the other thing I will highlight, though, for Jimmy, though, granted they will be playing Tampa Bay, he does have Tyler Algier on his bench as another depth piece going forward here.
There you go. That's true. Very, very true. For the next couple games, yeah, it's very quality depth right there.
So with that, we'll get into our matchup of the week. All right, our week 5 matchup of the week is going to be between 3-1 I'm All In and 2-2 Fossil Fuel. As we talked here in the pre-show, Kev, good point you brought up. 2 teams trying to go for it this year in the preseason, and even dating back to last season, really.
Yeah. So obviously, Alexi was the top seed last year, and Justin, was all in, really going for it, and just came up short. And I mean, I remember when we back on our verbal days, the interview with Justin, I mean, he expects to be a playoff team. So this would be definitely a game that he needs to win. And yeah, it's going to be a close game. Projections currently have it set at 50-50. It's a pick 'em. So I have my pick, but Jim, why don't you lead us off here on this one?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, so this is I'm definitely having a tough time with. I'm leaning, and I'm gonna go with I'm All In on this one, just because I fear, God forbid, Kamara misses this week. It's not looking good for Fossil Fuel, and even if he is back, again, how much is he back? What percentage is he back? Full
Right.
Alvin Kamara, or are we still seeing big chunk of Mark Ingram in there?
Right.
But for I'm All Inside to prove my point on him, I guess. Tom Brady versus Atlanta, Dalvin Cook versus Chicago, both looking pretty good. Fournette obviously still also versus Atlanta.
Yeah.
Pittman versus Denver, I'm not liking too much. Thursday night, though, Pat Surtain is just a dirty corner, like absolutely filthy.
Yeah.
Like
literally.
I wouldn't be shocked if he locks him up.
Uh-huh.
Mike Williams against Cleveland, though, could be looking pretty good, as well as Chris Olave.
Yeah.
Even if it's Andy Dalton at quarterback going against Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And then, me, a big proponent of the tight end, Mark Andrews, against anybody. I don't care who is playing.
Right. Yeah. So I was going through this myself, and my answer during our little break, my answer changed literally 4 times. So let me just, before I say my pick, I just want to highlight some of the matchups here. Jalen Hurts against the Cardinals, I think, is going to shape up to be one of the most exciting games we have next week. Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, big, solid offenses and 2 very mobile quarterbacks going at it. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Mike Evans against the Falcons. I think the Bucs are just going to continue to roll, even though, lost last week, but Mike Evans had himself a day. I see him continuing that. Honestly, I do expect Kamara to be back. Honestly, and in a really good matchup for him against the Seahawks. Aaron Jones, Sunday morning in London against the Giants. The Giants have had a good defense, but I mean, Aaron Jones is a very big focal point of their offense, given the receiver woes. I expect him to have a solid game. On the other side, Brady against the Falcons. Obviously, if I think Evans is going to be good, I think Brady is going to be good. Dalvin Cook against the Bears. I think Dalvin Cook's going to have himself a day. Bears have simply just not been it this year. We knew that coming in, but still. Fournette, just going to continue to be a very reliable option for Brady. Yeah, man. I think Keenan Allen might be back potentially, but either way, I think Mike Williams is still going to be solid. Olave, you mentioned against the Seahawks. I think he's going to be solid. Mark Andrews just coming off a not so great week. I think he'll get right back to where he belongs. And yeah, Jamal Williams still the starter for them. Yeah, we agree, man. I'm taking Alexi as well, and I'm all in. And a reason why I want you to go first is like because I wasn't gonna change my pick so we disagreed again. I do believe I'm all in is the better team, and I do think he is gonna pull out a very big win and leaving Justin with more questions than answers.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting if Justin falls to 2-3 after this week to see where his team goes for the rest of the season.
Yeah, man. And I know both of them are still looking to improve their teams currently. But as of presently constructed, unless a trade happens between now and then, yeah, I feel it'll be close. Like I said, matchup of the week, I'm all in.
All right, I like it.
Yeah,
I think we got a good matchup of the week this week. I think this one will be close, unlike our last week's one.
Yeah, so we ruined our streak and I even made a comment.
You did
another great pick. I jinxed it. I had to say something. I'm not saying it again, but I it should be a quality matchup of the week. Yeah, and I mean it's a pick'em according to Sleeper. It's straight up a pick'em. So Justin, no disrespect, obviously, but. Me and Jimmy, and we're taking Alexi here, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yep. So that'll be it for our week 5 look ahead, and don't forget coming to the channel this week, the Big Rich breakdown. I know he's been working hard. He's been probing us for some answers here. On some questions. So it's definitely exciting. I can't wait to hear what he's got for us.
Oh yeah, baby! Like and subscribe, everyone. Let's go.
Yep. Don't forget to hit those lineups set Sunday morning. We got another London game coming at you. Giants in Green Bay, 9:30 from Tottenham.
Let's do it. Let's go. Let's go Giants.
With that, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.